I hate working down here in the lab on my own because it's scary and I always feel like something's going to creep up on me. What is this? I came to this lab alone and that's showing that Makoto is here. I didn't take him here with me. He's here and he's very angry. Where is he? Where is he? Where? I didn't bring him here. What is happening right now? Why did he come here very angry? I haven't interacted with Makoto since the last time I brought him to the lab and everything was fine. I haven't been speaking to him on Social Bunny. Why has he followed me here and why is he so angry? Is he coming to attack me because I'm trying to make vaccines? I actually think he's coming for a fight. This doesn't look good. He's literally arguing with me. Unpleasant conversation. That's boxing gloves. Be insulted by Makoto. Why? What is happening right now? I've done nothing. I have done nothing to create a negative relationship with Makoto. He was Cameron's best friend when Cameron was. Now he's criticising me about babies. And now our friendship is dropping. Our friendship's dropping and I need the friendship to be up because I need 3 friends to come with me to fight the mother plant. Sometimes the randomness of this game isn't a good thing. Hi there, welcome to my channel and welcome to part 5 of Strangerville Mystery with Cameron Fletcher. Last time when we left off, Cameron had just met the mother plant for the first time, and after speaking to Quentin, a scientist, he was advised that he should collect spore clusters and bizarre fruits to develop a vaccine against the infection. So that's what Cameron is doing right now. He's at the secret lab because that's the place where the plants generate the most spore clusters. Each scan generates 4 clusters. And he's then going to collect enough bizarre fruit to make the vaccine. And then once he has that, he's going to go down into the basement to the chemical analyzer and make some vaccines. Taking Quentin's advice, Cameron returned to the lab and began scanning for spore clusters. He discovered that not only did the plants at the lab produce the most spore clusters, but also, if he nurtured the plants, they would automatically bloom and produce bizarre fruits. This was the most efficient way for him to farm what he needed to make the vaccines, and this also meant that he was on site at the lab to use the chemical analyzer and make some vaccines. He would need to make 3 vaccines initially. Initially, they would be experimental vaccines that he would need to test on 3 infected Sims. In order to do this, he would require 3 bizarre fruits and 15 spore clusters, because each vaccine required 1 bizarre fruit and 5 spore clusters. Once he had the necessary ingredients, Cameron made his way all the way down into the basement, avoiding the corridor that led to the mother plant, and moving in the opposite direction to where the chemical analyzers were. In here, he combined the spore clusters and the bizarre fruit and began creating experimental vaccines. After creating 3 experimental vaccines, Cameron returned home to get some sleep. He would need to get up at night in order to catch infected Sims to test the vaccine on them. It wasn't exactly a restful sleep because he couldn't help but notice that the sky overhead of the secret lab was looking increasingly bizarre and increasingly disturbing. There were masses of clouds circulating and pink lightning shooting down from the sky. Cameron awoke from his sleep somewhat tense. Not only because he was concerned about testing the vaccine, but because there seemed to be even more infected townspeople walking about. He had a shower to get a little bit of confidence, and then headed out to find 3 Sims to test his vaccine on. Steeling himself, Cameron approached his first patient. He took the vaccine and just threw it in her face because, as everyone knows, that's the best way to administer a vaccine. And it didn't seem to have very much of an effect, unfortunately. The vaccine seemed to cause some kind of reaction, but did not completely isolate the infection. Keep testing on other possessed Sims to see how it will react. All it seemed to do in this instance was put the Sim to sleep. But it didn't take long for Cameron to find another patient to test his vaccine, and so he continued. Again, Cameron just threw the vaccine in his face and waited to see what effect it might have. Again, the vaccine caused some kind of reaction, but did not completely isolate the infection. Instead of really curing the Sim, all it did was make him go to the toilet, suddenly. Cameron approached one more infected sim to attempt to test his vaccine. Join us, consume the fruit of the mother in no peace. Cameron was getting a little tired of hearing this strange speak. Cameron chased the sim down and this time actually rather enjoyed throwing the vaccine in his face. And, eureka! The vaccine seems to be isolating the infection. Head back to the secret lab to create the infection vaccine on the chemical analyzer. And so, once more, Cameron would need to return to the lab to create a working vaccine for the infection. After returning to the lab and gathering some more spore clusters and bizarre fruit, Cameron set to work creating vaccines. He would need at least 4, he reasoned, one for himself, so that he could approach the mother plant without the need for the hazmat suit, and 3 for each of the 3 sims that he would need to cure and recruit to help him fight the mother plant. Once he had completed his 4 vaccines, Cameron paused to have a quick snack from the fridge at the secret lab before heading back home to get some rest, ahead of the momentous task that lay ahead of him as he headed into the final stage of his aspiration to solve the mystery of Strangerville. Cameron already knew which 3 sims he intended to vaccinate, the 3 sims who would help him fight the mother plant, and so he invited them over to his house one at a time in order to vaccinate them, starting with Jess Sigworth. Jess seemed a little startled at first when he threw the vaccination in her face. However, it definitely worked. As she said, "I feel so much better. I can think clearly and that terrible sound in my head is gone." And so Cameron capitalised upon the moment and asked her to join him in his fight. "Of course I'll help you destroy the mother plant. I am all for clearing Strangerville of this vile infection," she replied. And with one sim prepared and recruited, Cameron moved on to the next one. Cameron's second ally who would help him in the fight was Quinton McLean. Quinton was the scientist who had already helped Cameron so much in his quest. Cameron administered the vaccine. Quinton had not been infected, and so he was giving it to him more as a preparation to protect him from the virus that lay ahead. Now that Quinton was vaccinated and temporarily affected from the infection, Cameron could recruit him in his fight. And Quinton willingly agreed. "Of course I'll help you destroy the mother plant. I'm all for clearing Strangerville of this vile infection," which left just one more sim for Cameron to give a preventative vaccine to and recruit to join his fight. And that was his good friend, Makoto Saito. Cameron and Makoto had had a little bit of a disagreement about something Cameron still wasn't really sure about the origins of, but Makoto had always been a reliable and trustworthy friend to him, and so Cameron hoped that he could once more rely on Makoto to have his back in this fight. After giving Makoto a preventative vaccination, Cameron asked him to join the fight, and Makoto agreed. This meant that Cameron had now completed 2 out of 3 of the final steps of his aspiration. He had vaccinated 3 sims, and he had recruited 3 sims to join him in the fight against the mother plant. Now there was only one step left, and that was to go back to the secret lab with his 3 friends and finally take on the mother plant and defeat her once and for all. And so our episode today ends as Cameron sits around the table with his little ragtag crew ready to fight the mother plant. Join us next time as they gather together and take the mother plant down, cure the infection and free Strangerville from its strangeness. Thanks again for watching. No, Makoto. No, you really shouldn't. But you know what? Yes, and you can tell me how that goes. Because that is not even an opposites attract, that is just a disaster waiting to happen. Best of luck to you, Makoto.